Welcome to the Steve Davis Show. Special guest today is Mo Mesas, House Representative.
District 16,
District
yes.
16. Hey, Mo, first of all, thanks for being with ProView Networks and seeing the value that ProView Networks does for.
No, it's my pleasure to be on this show, spend time with folks.
But just talk about yourself, man. I want to say this, a guy that was dear to my heart, your dad, Frank Mesas.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve.
And I really didn't put all, like I just told you before the show, that I didn't put all this together until last week when we had a meeting. So
yeah, no, thanks. So my dad's Frank Mesas. So I grew up loving sports, going to all the games, access to the players and the sidelines. He wrote for the Journal from 61 to 91, and even though he's been retired for 3 decades, folks still talk about the stories he wrote. And of course, he passed away a few years ago, but it's great to meet friends and colleagues that knew him and enjoyed his company.
Well, and he was more than just a sports writer to UNM at the time. And, you kind of brought some memories up with me a little bit on when Norm Ellenberger closed practice,
right?
But except for Frank,
right?
And you think about that. There was some pretty good. Mike Roberts was not. He was banned.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a lot of people but Frank was always seemed to have a little spot with Norm Ellenberger.
Yeah, he loved the coaches. Loved Norm and the work that they did. He knew what was on the record and off the record without the athlete or the coach saying it, and kept it in the white lines. He wrote about sports. I don't know if he'd enjoy the journalism today, but he kept it in the white lines and wrote about the game, put you in the game the next morning. So anyway, yeah, so that's my love of sports, and I love, just like my dad, I love in particular high school sports, what it does for students, communities, coaches, and so it's great to be on the show and be a sponsor of ProView.
Well, kind of, you may or may not remember this, but my fame to claim with UNM was basically when the Blacks walked out.
I remember.
Okay, and we played UTEP, and Dan Davis and myself and Norm Casey and some other guys had some walk-ons, Brett Wilson and Dave Otero that has passed, probably somebody that you know pretty well. I tell you, he wrote the greatest article. About the game, it was
pure heart, because UTEP was top 15, top 10 when you guys played them.
Well, if they win, they actually would go to the Sweet 16. There was only a 16-10, so they were top 6. If you really want to go that, there were 17. I guess we beat them that night. But I don't know that I can repay. I wouldn't be without the media, and without coaches and without sports.
Right.
Steve Davis wouldn't exist on this magnitude. And so it's, I had a guy that made, I didn't have my father at the time when I made my decision to come to UNM, and people were recruiting me, Texas Tech,
right.
UTEP, basically, and also Lubbock. Okay. So they were really, knocking on my door to make me have a decision. And a guy named Norm Day just sat down and he said, Steve, you can go play for New Mexico State, you can go play for Texas Tech, you can go play, but he says, if you don't play 1 minute at UNM and you stay there for 4 years,
this town will love you.
No, you'll never be forgotten. And to this day, that was what made me sign with UNM, was because Norman Day saying that day, hey, yeah, you can go to New Mexico, but 10 years from now you're lost. You go to Texas Tech. To this day, one part because of your dad and UNM is that they let I had one great game. I wasn't a great college player. I was a role player, okay? And I got to play, probably 15, 20 minutes a game. I wasn't a star, but I had one game that is still to this day talked about. It's top 8 game ever played in the pit. So anyway, I just want to throw that
that's
out
great
to it.
memories. I was there as a little kid, and the pit was electric. Obviously, it's a fantastic venue now, but in the 70s, it was just electric. 18, 19,000 people packed in, students all the way to the floor. It was just amazing time. So you played 10, 15 minutes, but I was on a top 5 team, legit top 5 team. The tournament didn't work out, but still hurts, but it was good times.
Well, like I tell everybody, there's a guy named Michael Cooper that was the MVP.
He did well in the NBA, didn't he?
Yeah, that's why I didn't play.
Well, if Coops D'd you up in practice all day long,
Well, no, is this the opposite? I D'd up Cooper. This is a true story. While we're talking, this is a very true story. I was very competitive, and there was an issue with, at the time, discrimination and everything, and there was, and I candidly even talk with Marvin Johnson to this day about, there was actually 2 sets of rules. There was the white rule and the black rule, and it was, I told Cooper, I said, you know what? A game is going to be easy because I'm going to be on you all day. When you walk down that locker,
you go halfway up the ramp.
No, when you walk down in that ramp, and Marvin Johnson and you're going to know when a game comes, you're going to have it easy because if I'm going to sit the bench,
right.
I knew my role. I mean,
that
that's
was a great team. No, you make your teammates better.
Yeah, and so I came in and I pushed them as hard as I could, and of course that wasn't very hard.
Right.
But it was great when Michael Cooper, when they had the 50th anniversary of the pit. He actually, he and I didn't talk to him. I don't have a lot of communication and everything. But it was when he made the speech. He was the guest speaker, and he just said, "Look, I just want to thank a guy named Steve Davis," and he made me stand up. There was
that's respect,
about 5,000 or 6,000. He says, "The guy pushed me every day and practice and made me." So the story is
fantastic.
So I had to work as hard as I could to even be 1/10 as good as those guys were. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So we'd have to run 2:20s. All right, and then we had to do it in a certain time. I can't remember the time, but it took everything I had just to make. We had to run 8 of them. Okay,
that's brutal.
And so Cooper says, "Yeah, I just loved it because I knew Steve would make it." so I just to upset him. He would stay right behind me. He'd just stay right behind me, and then the last 10 yards, he just
there you go. That's cold.
Then he'd turn around and look at me and just point at me. I was like, I'm trying to make the time. Because if you didn't make the time, if I didn't make the time, you had to rerun it.
Right. Everybody blames you.
Yeah. So that was my.
No, Ellenberger was a hell of a game coach, a great defensive mind. It was great that Haskins hired him. Even Bob Knight hired him to be his defensive coach. So he got to coach a little longer after the Lobos. But yeah, those are good times. But the thing is, being that role player, that's what's beautiful about sports. I love football because it's so diverse. You have the big guys, little guys, guys with good hands, guys with horrible hands. Everybody can contribute to that team effort. And that's what we need to do here in the community, here in politics. If we just stay as a team and we work together, we can accomplish great things. So that's what I'm hoping to do up in Santa Fe. The session starts here in a couple weeks. It's a quick 30-day session, but I think we could really make some key investments in New Mexico, and not only just sports, but education, teacher salaries, fix some roads and bridges, airports, stuff like that. So.
Well, Mo, we're going to go to Dream Style Top 10 Plays of the Week.
All right.
Come back. We're going to talk more about really what's happening in the state and things that you're trying to get accomplished over the next 30 days.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Riley Ottman bodies that ball. Ava Love, wide open bucket. She drifts through the air and knocks it home. So
out of the corner, no. Nora with the rebound, quickly gets it ahead to Louise. In transition, the left-hand layup is good for Luciano Webster.
Oh, Lyra Corona, she has a chance to change that story. She does.
Diaz now with the ball. It's a three-point lead. Montoya, she tries to equalize. Boom! Olivia Montoya with her second three ball of the second half.
There's an assist from half court on the inbounds pass.
That's a long shot. The laser shot. Holy cow. Closes down quickly. Garcia Romero for two.
With the rebound here comes Benjamin.
Throw it up.
He's going to throw it up to his big fella, and his third dunk of the night. Hey, remember, Greg Brown doesn't have any timeouts. They get it into Hill. Hill's going to have a chance to win it at the horn. Yeah! He does it! Hill bangs in the three, and the Hawks win it 60-59.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Hey, welcome to the Steve Davis Show. Special guest Mo Maestas, representative of District 16.
District 16.
I tell you, a lot of things happen in legislative. You know, we're kind of update us next 30 days of what you're trying to get accomplished. If you need help, help the audience, let them know how to help you to get things that can help our sports and the city of Albuquerque.
Right, thanks, Steve. As you know, we have an old school state government in New Mexico. We have a short 30-day session, which is unique statewide. It's only a budget session. Starts January 18 to February 17, 30 consecutive days. Hopefully, folks will get in the roundhouse with vaccination cards and masks, but that's going to be determined probably the day of. But you can communicate with your legislators and even testify in committee on your computers. You can go to nmlegis.gov, nmlegis.gov. There's an interactive website, and you could testify in committee via Zoom. Even if we have in-person committees, we can still have folks testify on Zoom. So for the first time since I've been in the legislature, we have tons of money because of crude oil drilling in the Permian Basin, as well as our tax base is stabilized, and then we have money coming in from the federal government as well. So we're going to be able to do things we've only talked about this past decade, increase teacher salaries, put a lot of money into our infrastructure, broadband and stuff. But what I'm excited about and what I want to talk about is the Sports Authority. Believe it or not, the Sports Authority is still in state statute. It's still good law. It's a division within the Department of Tourism, but it just hasn't been funded the past decade or so. So we're going to refund that division, get it going again. As you recall, it was the division that Dennis Lara, Jeff Simbieta worked on. They got the New Mexico Bowl going, and really good things happening.
And while we're speaking on that, a good friend of mine in this past is Brian O'Neill. He was
Yes, Brian was instrumental. He was the director of the Sports Authority when it first started, and really did a lot of great things for sports, for coaching and athletes. And I think the best thing that happened as a result was the New Mexico Bowl, which is now on the national stage every December.
Well, it's something that, back with Jeff Symbiota that won, it wouldn't have happened.
Right.
Okay, and then, but what was also great about Jeff Symbiota was that it went away, and he still maintained it. It shows how great Jeff Symbiota is with, keeping it alive, and also the passion of New Mexico people to keep it alive.
Yeah, no, it's great event, and it happened because of that public-private partnership that the Sports Authority did. So we have a legislative budget recommendation. We have economists that work for us year-round. The governor and her agencies come with their recommendation. We put the two budgets together, and then we come out with the best outcome. So hopefully both budget recommendations will have money for the Sports Authority. But if you get a chance, you only need to know one politician. The lobbyists have to know all of us, but you have 70 House members, 42 senators. Every single person watching this show has one senator and one representative representing them from their neighborhood. So it'd be good for the coaches to get to know their local reps and senators. In the off season, invite the politicians to visit your sports facilities, because over the next 3, 4, 5 years, we're going to have money to put into schools, cafeterias, performing art theaters, gymnasiums, and hopefully a new high school football stadium here pretty soon.
Well, that's kind of your new dream, but I just, this Sports Authority, what did it do in the past, and what do you see? Will there be a difference, or will it be a different emphasis?
Great question. It's whatever the leadership and the governor see fit. It's in state statute. It exists as a division within the tourism department. So if we were to fund it to, say, the tune of $1 million a year, that'd be hire an executive director, maybe 1 or 2 staff people. They can do research. They can inventory all the sports facilities statewide, little leagues, high school, city and county sports facilities, see where the needs are, and essentially be whatever we want it to be. So I think whoever is the new director will really kind of grab the bull by the horns. But for example, in Baltimore, their sports authority built Camden Yards, so it was part of building that stadium there in Baltimore. So it's whatever we want it to be. But regardless of how it comes about, it'll definitely enhance sports in New Mexico, whether it's the New Mexico Bowl, whether it's bringing golf tournaments to the state, whether it's the Connie Mack up in Farmington, the state tournament, whatever really helps the kids and helps the coaches enhance sports here in the state.
So basically, it's for the whole state.
Yeah, no question about it.
It's not emphasis just on, sometimes a lot of people, think that everything's put to the metro area, and all the money goes to the metro area, but it's something for all the events and sports of things.
Absolutely. It will be statewide. So that's the governor hires the Secretary of Tourism, then the governor would hire the director of the Sports Authority. He would have some funding to do some really creative things, get out there in the community, but it would be a statewide sports authority within state government to work with the private sector to enhance sports here in the state of New Mexico. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be one of my big emphasis here this next month.
So that's one of your big emphasis. So there's, I don't know, I shouldn't even speak, but a number of bills are going to be proposed, and some of the things that might, were sports, that might affect sports.
Right, there's going to be, it's what we call a fiscal session. We do the budget as well as, roads and all the other money that goes into all the other statewide projects, and whatever's on the governor's call. So it's the governor controls the agenda during the short session, as well as any tax and spend issues. We probably won't deal with taxes till next year, but it's how do we spend all this money that we've never had before. 5 years ago, we're scraping together 5 or 10 million from this fund or that fund to fund schools and stuff. Now we literally have $4 billion additional dollars. Our general fund, Steve, is our checking account of state government. So our general fund is where the money comes from to fund state government. State government is approximately $7.5 billion. If we were to keep a flat budget, for example, at $7.5 billion, we would have $4 billion additional dollars in the general fund to spend. So we can spend what we call one-time expenditures or non-reoccurring expenditures on stuff that we don't have to spend for next year. You're not locking state government in for forever, but we can build for Paseo del Volcan on the west side, Double Eagle 2 airport upgrades, roads throughout the Permian, as well as money for schools, money for local road projects. But frankly, we could build a high school football stadium, an indoor world-class arena, and a soccer stadium, and not even blink. We have that much money, so we just got to use it wisely. and get some consensus from the governor's office and leadership from the community and make some stuff happen. But the next 1, 3, 5 years, for the first time in the history of the state government will have funding to really make our dreams come true in terms of investments in early childhood education, teacher salaries, broadband, all that stuff we've been talking about for decades.
Well, I know that United, was denied that, so there's a possibility for a new soccer stadium, or there's a good look for the future, I guess you would say. And my take on the whole thing is, and I agree, we need a soccer stadium, we need a gladiator stadium. Okay, we need, we need, facilities for the high school tournament. I mean, nothing against UNM and that, but I'm just saying, from an economic standpoint, really have a multi-purpose stadium that does concerts, it's just not for one entirety on the deal. And I think if that could ever be, I'm just throwing that carrot out to you while you're out there doing your doing your work, is the people will get behind that. If it's a multi-purpose stadium for everything where United could be in, and it's a class act for the New Mexico, and also, gladiators, Yaffle football. I mean, AYBL basketball. And then where the whole state comes in for our whole youth and everything else.
Yeah, no, I agree. We got Community Stadium was built with state monies just before the banks crashed in 2008. It's a great high school facility. But yeah, I mean, Milne was built in 1933. Wilson was built in 67. I think Tingley was built in 1957. So we're the largest city in the country with a lack of sports amenities and sports facilities. So we got to realize, all the sports folks, you and I know, sports brings people together. It's the great equalizer, and it really builds a sense of community. We didn't have the luxury before because we didn't have the money, but now we can invest in a world-class multi-purpose arena, which could have the gladiators, could have basketball tournaments, theoretically an NCAA tournament because the floor would be big enough, as well as rodeos and other things that Tingley has, but more importantly, concerts, wine festivals, whatever fits in a stadium. We have the Star Center out in Rio Rancho is fantastic, but we really need something here in the metro, closer to the downtown area or at the State Fair.
Well, Mo, we're going to go for a little break, and we're going to come back and talk more about the upcoming session.
All righty, thanks, Steve.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
ABQ Burrito, fast, fresh New Mexican. ABQ Burrito offers a large variety of burrito and taco fillings, in-house slow-cooked meats, and a great selection of cold beverages. Visit abqburrito.com and taste the tradition. Mo Justice. Mo Maestas is a big supporter of high school and college sports here in New Mexico and is your attorney for personal injury cases. Born and raised in Albuquerque, Mo has deep roots in our community. If your loved one is injured in an auto accident, contact or text Mo at 505-304-7497.
Lobo Moving. Family owned and operated by local MBA graduates, Lobo Moving offers complete local and long-distance moving services around the state of New Mexico. Give them a call today at 505-803-9050 or visit them at lobomoving.com. Hans Whitler Automotive, German car maintenance and repair in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Call 505-294-7684 or visit hanswhitlerauto.com. Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Back to Steve Davis Show. I got Mo Maestas here, District 16 representative for the state of New Mexico.
No, it's such a privilege to be in the House. I represent the West Mesa, Volcano Vista area there on the West Mesa, west of the river from Central to Montano. So it's great. It's great to be up there. And so politics is kind of distant from folks, but when you get to know it and you get to know the people, particularly here in New Mexico, it's very easy to influence policymakers, believe it or not. I know a lot of our friends are caught up in the national political scene, but if folks focused on Santa Fe and their local representatives, I think we could help move this state forward. So, for example, coaches have a lot of influence, principals, players. You have email blasts to your teams. If we can create a system where, email your local House rep, email your local senator, vote for House Bill 67 or whatever. That means a lot. You get an email from one of your constituents, you look at the address and you know that person's in your neighborhood. It means something. Every politician responds to pressure, and we just got to pressure them to do the right thing. So hopefully we can get some good things going in Santa Fe. We'll keep Provier updated on the Sports Authority bill, and hopefully it passes and becomes reality come this summer.
Well, that's a big one for I think for the whole state, but it also it really embraces it gives take Connie Mack World Series. I mean they get 100,000 people through the stalls.
Nationally renowned.
Guess what? A lot of people don't even know that in Albuquerque.
Right.
Okay, we did that tournament last year, ProView, with live stream, and we put it on My 50 and put it on Comcast 26 here in Albuquerque, and all of a sudden it just opened up the eyes that guys, this is one like right there with the MMA high school basketball tournament. And, the numbers are very close, and the revenue that it brings in. Maybe if I was really going to talk about it, it's the out-of-state dollars, because there's 16 teams and it might be even more, but they come into the state and they bring in their families and that money from I know there's from last year was Florida, Cincinnati, Utah, also California. I mean, those are big markets.
It's a great example of what
Texas
New Mexico
too,
can do, right? There's probably 50 plus major league players that have fond memories of the Connie Mack series in Farmington, and folks who come from out of state hopefully enjoy it, bring their families back. But tourism is a big part of our economy, as you know. Sports tourism is a component of our tourism dollars, and if we can do some more golf tournaments, more softball tournaments, have better facilities, do some other things like Connie Mack and the Bloom Fiesta, the New Mexico Bowl, I think it'd be great.
Well, and back to facilities, I've been an advocate of facilities almost for 14 years.
Right.
And there's been a lot of talk, and great ideas, but it hasn't got done.
Right.
And it's, to me, I'm speaking not emotionally, not anything. I just look at the revenue dollars that has gone out of state because Nevada has AAU tournaments, all Texas has it. Why not bring that revenue
exactly?
We have New Mexico State and New Mexico that's known for basketball. Okay, plus we have Highland and Western and those facilities. Those are basketball, and Eastern New Mexico. I don't want to forget where I came from, Eastern New Mexico. But I'm just saying those are all built around sports, but a lot about basketball.
No, basketball is key in New Mexico. We have one of the most historic high school tournaments in the country. And so, we're working on some good stuff. We're going to do a West Side indoor sports complex. It's been partially funded for years. I think we could get it fully funded. Essentially, back east, you have 8 or 12 basketball courts or volleyball courts under the same roof. Then you have, it's multi-generational, so you could have a weight room, you could have some internet so folks can drink coffee, do their work while their kids are playing sports. So we're hoping to build that out on the West Mesa. There's some other great baseball parks that were built recently. I know that United, for example, is looking for some practice facilities. If we can build some more soccer fields out on the West Mesa to complement Bernalillo and Mesa del Sol. But there's some great opportunities to upgrade our sports infrastructure, so to speak, and put money into the little leagues and just get better facilities. The quality of coaches in this state is fantastic. Football in Albuquerque's never been better. So now's the time to come together, help out the kids, and give them some great sports experience and bring the community together based around sports.
Hey, Mo, thanks for coming on the Steve Davis Show. And when does the state legislature start?
So January 18 until February 17. So be sure to send an email or a phone call to your House member or senator. Get them on the ball with regards to what you want, not just sports, but anything you're interested in doing.
Hey, thanks for coming on the
All
Steve
right,
Davis
thanks,
Show.
Steve. Always great to visit.